Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield with Manny Things, and welcome to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting, the show where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you enjoy this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Things. Without further ado, let's get to this episode. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome back to another episode of Manny Talks Shooting, the podcast where I talk to whoever I want to in the shooting industry. Well, today we're going to talk about today's sponsor first, and that's Go Fast Don't Suck. So go check out Bill Dula, gofastdon'tsuck.net. Go get your dry fire targets, your t-shirts, your hats, your jerseys if you need them. He can design whatever you want to. So if you've got a match and you're looking for some match shirts or jerseys, Bill can hook you up too. So go check out gofastdon'tsuck.net and tell him Manny sent you. I don't get anything, but maybe it helps you out. But anyway, without further ado, let's get to the show. I'm sitting down with Mr. Joe Farewell. Joe, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. It's been a long one in the making. I think if I looked at my messages right, I sent you something back in June or July. And in your defense, it was the day before your sister's accident. So
that would have been July 6th. Yeah.
Yep. You get a hard pass, sir. And that was an interesting time frame. So
it was, it's kind of crazy looking back at that time frame because there was so much that I had like going on and like all sorts of stuff to do. And then it's one of those like absolutely life-changing events that you never see coming. And then, nothing's ever the same again. So, good or bad, it is what it is. But a lot of that stuff that I had planned, I've had people like follow back up with me on. It's like, oh yeah, we were planning on doing that. Well, let's do it. And I'm at a point now where I'm able to kind of catch up on some of that stuff. And that's why we're here today. So
exactly.
I'm glad you followed up with me on it.
Well, and I'm glad you kept you were still interested of doing this. And I knew it's no reason to push somebody to, life comes first, family comes first. And it's nice to see your sister recovery and she's making good progress now. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, man. We're actually about to drop a video for her. And if you guys want to follow along, that's teambecca.us is the website for her. And we're going to be dropping a video that I just finished editing. I got to send off to my buddy Tanner to get some more editing, some music added to it, whatnot. But it's a 45-minute long video of like a day in the life with her. So it's pretty cool. Takes you through her story and how she got to where she is now, which for those of you who don't know, my little sister Becca was involved in a skydiving accident last year and shattered her C3 and C4 vertebrae. Now she's quadriplegic for the time being. Our goal is to get her walking again and doing all the fun things in life. But it's a long road to recovery. And so that's been my life for the past almost 8 months now.
Mm-hmm. And it's cool to see her making those little steps every day. I think yesterday was 25 minutes without the ventilator or something like that.
Yeah, dude. Super excited about that. That's a new record for her. Her last record was back in October and she did 20 minutes. And then she's kind of like tanked after that. And she hasn't been able to get that back. So seeing her back up to 25 minutes is freaking huge. And we're really excited to see where it goes from here because our goal is obviously to get her off the ventilator. Being on a ventilator for 8 months is a long time. But she's a fighter, so we'll get there.
Oh yeah. I mean, she was a professional skydiver. I mean, we'll get her back there. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I know we'll probably touch back on that near the end so we can remember to plug it at the end as well. But Joe, for the random people who don't know who you are and how'd you get into shooting?
Well, I like to shoot guns. That's kind of my motto. I like to have fun and shoot guns. And how I got into it, just like most people getting into shooting sports, I kind of grew up shooting a little bit, hunting and whatnot, but never really took it seriously. And then I bought a handgun and had a buddy that we used to shoot like every weekend just about. And we're like, well, we want to do more. And I saw a video and it was funny because Adam Maxwell talked about this too, seeing a video of like Soldier of Fortune 3-gun matches. And I saw this video and I'm sure some of you guys can identify with this, but there's a video out there and I got to go back and see if I can find it. But it starts out with a guy in a hood, zip tied, and like he cuts out the zip ties on the buzzer and like pulls the hood off, grabs an AK and shoots some stuff and then goes to report the fire. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but it looks awesome. I want to do it. And so that was my introduction to 3-gun. And through that, I found Universal Shooting Academy, which was like 30 minutes from my house. And they ran all sorts of matches down there back in the day. And so I started shooting USPSA a little bit. And that just took off, man. And once I started shooting that, I was hooked and kind of kept on pursuing that, got into law enforcement, became an instructor, started shooting 3-gun, did all the fun things on the 3-gun side and on the law enforcement side. I started teaching on my own and created a business where I was able to make the easy choice to step out of law enforcement and pursue shooting full-time and get to travel all over the country and the world and shoot stuff with cool people and get people better at shooting.
And it's freaking fantastic. It's nice to see you, because I think I started following you pretty much after you'd gone full time. I think at this point, I couldn't remember anything with you doing anything with law enforcement, but at that point, I think it was you had jumped full time into it, which is kind of cool to see.
There wasn't a lot on social media wise. I kept law enforcement pretty out of it. Where I was in my unit, we were a narcotics unit, so we pretty much kept things on the DL there. Did some task force stuff, some SWAT stuff, and kept all that kind of out of the social media aspect and focused social media on the shooting side and the training side. And so a lot of people, even today, people just don't realize that was a big part of my life for many years, and kind of where I've grown from. But people ask me all the time, like, how did you step away from law enforcement? Like, dude, it was the easiest decision I made. Actually, I take that back. It wasn't an easy decision. There were some aspects of it that were very difficult, because the week that I decided to turn in my paperwork to leave, I was offered a full-time position at a task force that I've been working on for like 3 years trying to get to. And they're like, finally, I get the opportunity. I'm like, no.
Right.
So that was the hardest part of the decision, was trying to decide, do I stay on this task force and do what I've been trying to do for 3.5 years, or do I go ahead and pursue this full time? And I'm happy with the call that I made, and I knew I would be. But it's still just one of those decisions that's, either way is going to be like life changing. Like one way, like it's going to take your life in one direction, and the other way is going to take your life in another direction. And I look back at it and I'm like, if I go and stay on this task force, I'm always going to look back on this and say, like, I could have left and created my own opportunities and started earlier. And so I kind of went that route. So.
Yeah. And it's definitely interesting. I mean, if you had decided to stay full time, like, would we be sitting here today? That's, you never know, because you might actually have ended up back at this path, but just in a roundabout way.
Yeah. I was still planning on doing this path, like continuing to pursue my own business and whatnot. And that's one of those things that I considered when I made that decision was, down the road, I still want to do this. And so this is just kind of delaying that opportunity for me. And what is the benefit that I'm going to reap from that? And I'm just a huge proponent of, if you have a path that you want to take, start on it today. Don't wait around for the perfect opportunity or the perfect timing, because it's never going to happen. Like, there's always something that's going to come up. There's always something that's going to keep you from pursuing whatever it is that you're passionate about. But don't wait for that perfect time, because it's not going to happen. You gotta seize the day, right? Carpe diem. And that's the way I kind of live it. And if I have an opportunity that I want to do, I'm going to say yes to it. And if it works out, it works out. If not, then it wasn't supposed to be.
Exactly. I mean, if a lot of people probably have a lot of regrets in life, and so one thing is either not starting that business, not taking that first step, not trying to bust out of their shell, and kind of regret it.
That's the way I look at things. And if people ask me, well, how do I get started into competitive shooting? Like, freaking do it. Go to a match and just start, because nothing's going to make you prepared for it. Like, I remember when I got into competitive shooting, my buddy and I, who I shot with every week, we actually we went to Lowe's or Home Depot got like cardboard boxes from their refrigerators that they were throwing away, cut out our own IPSC style targets, had a stopwatch, and we would like stand by, beep, and start the stopwatch and like practice USPSA. I'm like, we've got this. Like, we were so ready for the match. And then I showed up to the match, and I remember the very first time that timer went off, and like my brain just went to mush, and I saw nothing but white. I'm like, I was not prepared, but nothing's going to prepare me for that except for going to the match. So everyone asks me that all the time, like, just do it. Just freaking go out and make that first step, because that's the hardest one to do. I started jujitsu back in December because my daughters were taking it, and I'm like, I want to roll with them too. And it's something I've always kind of wanted to do. I've just never had the step into the right direction. And I'm like, well, this is a great opportunity. Let me start. And starting in that was really cool because it literally gave me an opportunity to be back at rookie level at something, and square zero. And it's humbling to get wrapped up by somebody who's half your age and can do all kinds of things with my body that I don't like to do when they twist me in awkward positions, but it's fun.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely fun. It was interesting enough. We did have a BJJ gym open up here locally to me, so it's kind of cool now to see that roll around. I have still not checked it out, but I'm working on that. So
take that first step, bro. Make it happen.
Absolutely. I need to stop being lazy. When I drive home from work, I just need to pull in the parking lot and go talk to them.
There you go. Do it.
I will. So Joe, you are an instructor, but how many have you taken formal training, like competitively, outside of like your job as a law enforcement officer?
Oh yeah. I've trained under JJ Rakaza, trained with multiple other high-end shooters, and when you get to a point of like I've taken classes from different people, but when you get to a point where you're just, it's hard to find like really good instructors out there that I can go to and really pull content from. So I like to train with people. So whenever I get an opportunity, I'll train with other good shooters and just make a day of training where we're bouncing ideas off of each other and whatnot. I will still take classes. Like I've taken Point One Tactics, Donovan Moore, taken his class. And then at the same time, we'll freaking bounce ideas off of each other and just shoot together and train together. And that's super fun. Even today, like I was out there after teaching, I spent another hour and a half on the range with another good shooter and running some drills and like getting feedback, critiquing, giving like little points of frustration to each other. And that just makes you a better shooter, in my opinion. Now, I think that especially on that starting out and in the mid pack where you're really trying to cut time, classes are a great way to cut your learning curve. And then after, like, as you get into the top tier, that's where you're looking for those little things, those little nuggets, right, to shave down time or increase your proficiency. And classes can be a good way for that. Private training or direct coaching, I think, is the best. So I've taken coaching from Max Michelle, from JJ. I'm always looking out for nuggets wherever I see them. So Mike Seeklander, when he posts something, I'll watch. Anybody that's like solid in the shooting sports, I even go back and look at some of the old videos from Robbie Latham and stuff like that and see what they posted back in the day and apply it to today, because that stuff's timeless for the most part. There's very few things that have changed overall in the competitive aspect, or not even competitive, but the performance aspect of shooting. So a lot of those older videos, while they're not like current on the newest guns or the newest platforms or the newest rule set, it still applies on the performance level. So I like to get back and find those archives and watch them again.
Oh yeah, I bet. Besides that, they're grainy and old. I mean, they're full of nuggets. I mean, they might be on DVD. They might be.
VHS.
I don't even own a VHS anymore, and I
I own some VHSs, but I don't own a VHS player. I don't even know where you'd buy one. Maybe I'm sure you could get one on Amazon or something, but
yeah, it's probably an old box just repackaged as something else. I knew when we were growing up, we had a DVD, a VHS player. Near the end of it, it was like, oh, the VHS player died, so we got this combo unit, and it was like, this is okay, but
yeah, yep.
God, that was some years ago. But so which I agree. I mean, I wish I could take some private coaching. It's just not in the cards for me right now. But I agree, classes are great. Finding that training partner, someone who you can work with. I think that's the right direction. I'm not an instructor. You are. I mean, why am I talking? That's the point. So you said you started first in USPSA. How long did you shoot USPSA before you fell into 3-gun?
I shot at USPSA for about 2 years, year and a half, 2 years. And I'd always wanted to do 3-gun. Like that was, again, that first video I watched was 3-gun. But that was prior to me getting into law enforcement. I think I might've been in the academy at the time. No, that was before I started the academy even. And so I was getting into law enforcement. So I shot USPSA for probably about 2 years before I got into 3-gun. And I was newly married, newly a dad, working at a restaurant, getting into law enforcement. So I had $0 whatsoever. And 3-gun was not in the cards for me at that point. Once I got into law enforcement, I found a local gun shop that was like, hey, we had a guy who used to work here that shot 3-gun, and we have like a rifle and a shotgun. If you want to use those, you can. So I'm like, hell yeah, let me. So I borrowed guns and gear until I could like get my own stuff and just made it work. But like, I still just love the 3-gun aspect. USPSA is fun. I still go and shoot a match here and there, but I love 3-gun because it's still kind of the Wild West and just super fun. It's to me, it's more laid back.
Oh yeah, and I'm assuming you started like what, production or limited in USPSA?
Yep, I started in production and then went to limited, but I was shooting minor power factor, so wasn't super competitive in that. Now I still shoot primarily limited and open. I shoot open minor because I shoot my 3-gun pistol. But I did pick up a limited major gun, which I shot for the first match last month, the Florida State match, and switching to 40. And I actually had Supervel. Mike Stoker loaded me up some IPSC loads because I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico for the Caribbean Open. And the IPSC is a little bit hotter than your normal 40 loads. And man, that was a shift for me going from shooting a bunch of 9mm to some hot 40 loads. And it was fun though. It's always fun to learn a new platform and push it. And that I was running the Atlas Artemis, and man, the gun shoots smooth, but it wore a hole in my hand because I only had it for a couple of weeks before the match. And I was just like trying to cram in the practice sessions with it. So going to the 40 was like rough on the hands. So I'm like, I needed to have my ginger wrists like taken care of, and I'm going back to 9mm now. So
right, and not even just a 9mm comp gun for 3-gun. So
oh
it's
yeah,
extra powdery. It's extra bunny farts.
Yes. No. I mean, I like to shoot it all, man. It's you're not going to see me back down from a gun.
And I'm assuming you started in TAC Ops because TAC Ops was the big deal back in the day.
Yep. I started in TAC Ops with a JM Pro, a 930 JM Pro before the 940 came out. I had 2 of those. Both of them did JM Pro things and fell apart and broke and jammed and drove me crazy until I finally upgraded to a Versamax. And the Versamax was heavy as hell. But man, that shotgun ran. I ran the hell out of that shotgun for several years. And then went to a Benelli, actually went to a Breda, then Benelli, and then got into the open game.
I mean, isn't that like everyone's dream is to go to open and get a Dissident, get a sweet rifle, get an Erebus,
I mean, it is kind of the gear whore's like dream. I will admit, like I love playing with cool guns and whatnot. I actually just got a new shotgun that's coming in. Actually, I think it's waiting for me at home now. So I'm excited to play with that and test it out. And it's a new company that I haven't shot their stuff before, so I'm excited to try it. and see what they're putting out. But getting to play with all the optics and all the bipods and mags and all the different things in the gear world, it puts more of an emphasis on raw ability, I think, because being able to go fast and not have any gear things hold you back, like forces you to perform at a higher level because there's no room for error. In TAC ops, if you're good at quad loading the shotgun and you're halfway decent at pistol, you're going to be pretty competitive. There's always other aspects that you need to work on. There's always lots of room to grow, but those two things are probably a big separator in the TAC ops world. Whereas open, like raw shooting ability, makes a big difference because everyone's gear at the top, at least, is going to be freaking not holding them back whatsoever. Like that's the goal, is build your gear up to where you're not going to be held back at all. And then it's just a drag race.
Oh yeah, because everyone's pretty much essentially using the same gear. Some skins of the guns may be a little different. Your pistol might be slightly different, but it seems like everyone's using a box-fed shotgun.
Yep.
With multiple multiple optics on their rifle. A red dotted pistol with a compensator and a mag well. So.
That's pretty much the go-to. So if you're not running that, you are going to be held back a little bit. I've talked to our friend Jerry, and he is committed to his shotgun design, and for all the reasons that he's there. And I feel like, and we've even talked about this, but like you cannot be 100% competitive with a tube-fed shotgun in a box-fed world. So there is that. Like you can be competitive, you can do pretty good, but when it comes to like heads up on a stage, side by side, a box-fed is usually going to win the day. Just all other things considered equal, a box fed's going to take it.
Yes, I will agree with that. Although I'm not at Jerry, I'm not at the top of the level, nor am I at Jerry's level. God, I wish. Fun fact: Jerry and I share a birthday.
Wow, that's a lucky thing for you.
That's the only thing I can say about life, right? Is I was born when Jerry was on Jerry's birthday. So, but now we're talking a little bit about three gun. If you listen to the whole Adam Maxwell episode, you'd kind of know where the conversation went. What's your opinion on red dots and TAC ops?
Honestly, I don't care that much. I'm of the opinion that the gear is going to evolve. Like that's just a matter of fact. My personal preference is I like the separation of the divisions. I like when limited division has a 1x optic on the rifle, has mag capacity for rifle and pistol. I like heavy being a pump action and a 45. Freaking sue me. I don't shoot divisions, so it doesn't affect me, but it is what it is. Like I like a clear definition between divisions. So for red dots to be on top of pistols, the only thing that divides open from TAC ops at this point is a compensator on your pistol, which honestly a 9mm does not make that much of a difference. It is absolutely minimal. And the shotgun. And then offset on your rifle, which honestly, again, it's minimal. I shot all last season in open division without an offset red dot. So like, it doesn't make that big of a difference. There's a few opportunities that I wish I had an offset on my rifle, but with the scope mount that I have, it wouldn't fit under there. So I think that throwing red dots on pistols, a lot of people want it because they want to shoot their tube-fed shotgun with a red dot on their pistol. Cool. If that's what everybody wants, freaking go with it. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to shoot the sport regardless. You'll just fit whatever box you have to fit into.
Right. At the end of the day, like shoot what you want to shoot. Make it fun, man. Like if you're not having fun in this sport, get out of it. Find something that brings joy, because like we spend way too much money on this sport to not find joy in it. And I take that even at like my goal is to win nationals next month. Well, like in a month and a week. And if I'm not having fun when I win nationals, it's not a win. It's a freaking loss. I can tell you there's been matches where my personal life has been in disarray and like an absolute cluster, if you will. But I shot the match because I was committed to supporting it and I was committed to working it and whatnot, and I shot it anyway. And one match in particular, I can remember this being the case. I was not having fun. I was mentally checked out. I was in a really bad place personally, and it was a shit show. I won the match, and it was a regional match, and I pulled off the win. And I can remember picking up the trophy. I'm like, I don't give a shit about this. And like, that was one of those times where it's hard to like understand that aspect of it, but without joy, what's the point? And so for me, like I that was a huge like wake up call for me. Like I knew at that point that I had to reestablish the joy in my shooting if I was going to continue to grow in it. And so if you're in that point personally in your own shooting situation or whatever sport it is that you like to do, that you're just not having fun with it anymore, find something else to do for a period of time and come back to it. People may call you a quitter, they may, whatever, but like you do you, bro. Like figure out what brings joy in your life and pursue that, because honestly, if you're having a shitty time with it and it's not pleasurable, it's not worth like pursuing. That being said, we all go through like those waves and you hit plateaus in your training where you just got to break through. And sometimes it's the benefit of that is like either bringing a coach in, or taking a short break, like giving yourself, hey, I'm going to take 3 weeks off or 2 weeks off or a month off or whatever the case may be. A lot of people have seasons. I don't have a shooting season because in Florida, it's beautiful weather. The normal off season is our best shooting season. So I don't have an off season. But a lot of people take that off season as like just a break, and then they come back into it and hit it hard. And I think that's a great thing. Like having that mental break from your training and pursuing things differently is a good thing to do and will, in the long run, benefit you. So like figure out what works for you, you know?
Right. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will occasionally take a week or two off here randomly throughout the season just because it's like, I'd rather not be burnt out. So I'm just going to take a week off. It's just like, it is what it is. Right.
Yep. Keep the joy in it. And I preach that to everybody. If you're not having fun and shenanigans on the range, then you're leaving there more stressed out and pissed off than you showed up. That's a big problem.
Absolutely. Now you said your goal is to win nationals. That's like probably a short-term goal. What other goals do you have for shooting?
Man, it's funny because my goals have evolved. So over the past few years, short-term goals were always just to get better, constantly progress. I'm still always looking to get better. I'm always a student at heart, trying to focus on improving my skill set across the board. Nationals is coming up pretty quickly. That's a goal of mine. My longer term shooting goals is to go to Rifle World Shoot, I think in 2024. And
take that gold, right? Because you took the silver, gold. Right?
We took silver a couple of years ago, and we're coming for the gold this time. Personally, obviously, I want to get gold as well, and that's a huge endeavor. The fins last time were unbelievable, incredible shooters. And this year, or this coming Rifle World Shoot, it's being hosted in Finland, so it's even like home turf advantage. But I'm excited, man. Like I want to really hammer rifle the next couple of years and continue to build that. And then additionally, like on another aspect, I've found like a real passion of mine is helping improve other instructors. So I've got some big things coming. Like I've done the Winter Paradise Summit the last couple of years, and that's been super awesome. That registration is opening up April 1st. So if this drops beforehand, you guys stay tuned for that. But I want to do an instructor summit, and that's something I'm currently working on to help improve the shooting community, because there's a lot of, there's instructors that work together quite a bit, but there's a lot of BS out there too, and a lot of drama and whatnot. And honestly, like we need to come together and work together. Everyone has their own take on different techniques, and that doesn't bother me. as long as you're not doing something that's blatantly going to get somebody hurt, such as like the dust guy, or Voda or something like that. That's just absolutely like way out in left field. But otherwise, I don't care about different techniques. Let's come together and work on improving the shooting community as a whole, because we have a shit ton of new firearms owners that need good training, and we need good people to offer that.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember back in the beginning of COVID, you and the rest of Team Atlas put, I want to say it was at least a 10 video series for new firearms owners, essentially. And it was actually really good content information. It was well produced. And I think you were the charge on most of those.
I did all of the intros on those, and I think I did 4 or 5 of the videos personally. But then I did just all of the intros and outros, if you will, for that series. And it was a great series for new gun owners, and Atlas was awesome to put that out there. And then I've already filmed it, but I'm doing a dry fire series. So I did a dry fire program last year. It's a 30-day challenge for Multigun, and it's 30 days of drills and explanations and training, not just drills, but actually diving deep into the training aspect, specifically for Multigun, but it applies to work as well. Like if cops, whatever, like some of it's not going to apply. Is quad loading doesn't apply to your hunting stuff necessarily, your law enforcement, but a lot of the other stuff, a lot of the techniques apply. And that was great. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. It's done well. Lots of people have been just crushing the program, and we're having a good time. We have a great Facebook group where we can communicate and share dry fire videos. But I'm dropping a dry fire program for new gun owners as well. And that's taking people, primarily like the focus is people who have bought a gun in the last like year or two and need a direction with it. So explaining ammunition, the safety aspects, like how to pick the right ammo, how to dry fire with it, how to train with it, all of the fundamentals from the ground up. So that's coming in the very near future. We got it filmed, working on the editing side now. And that I think is going to be a good step up from what Atlas did last year or the year before, with that new gun owner training, because that was a great video series, and kind of goes down the same route, but this is going to be additional on top of that and building into additional training as it carries on.
Yeah. And you just keep segueing really well, and I like this. It makes my life easier. But when you're talking about your dry fire mastery program, did you just bring that out because there's really nothing for multi-gun dry fire programs? Everything's usually pistols, and so you kind of you step that gap up and was like, no, I'm gonna build it for what I love, 3 guns. So
honestly, this was kind of a funny process, because like going back to what we talked about earlier with just taking that first step, I remember I was in my house, and I'm like, I need to go do some dry fire. I was going through some personal stuff, and I'm like, I need to go do some dry fire. I'm gonna go, and I'll do some videos, and you know what? I should film like a 3 video series just on the different guns and multi-gun. I'm like, now if I'm gonna do that, I should do maybe I'd do a 30-day series. And so at that point, I started writing down drills. I'm like, how do I create a 30-day program for dry fire videos? And then I called my brother, who had a videographer. I'm like, hey, is your video guy free? Like, is he available at any point? And he's like, yeah, he's available tomorrow or the next day. So I'm like, well, let me just knock this out. And I literally sat down and wrote out the entire program in a day, and then went and videoed it the next 2 days. And then over the next, and that was the easy part. The next year and a half later, I finally dropped it, because it took me that long to get it edited, and long like sequence of events that was just crazy, with the videographer leaving and taking the footage and then having to get it and then ship it to freaking Minnesota. It was all over the place, but we got it dropped. And my goal with that was just to, again, it was kind of a spur of the moment thing. And then I'm like, this can be something, it can be valuable for the 3-gun community. And even though it's a small community, we're very passionate about training. And if you don't dry fire, it shows on the range. But the problem is most people don't have an effective dry fire routine or even an idea of what's dry fire. So we get caught up in like, well, I know quad loads are important, so I'm going to do quad loads tonight. I know like my draw stroke is important, but why? Why is it important? How do we piece that together to make a effective training platform that we can revisit and hammer in these different skill sets? And one of the things I did with that program is if you go to a match and you review your match footage afterwards, which everyone should be doing, like I video every stage and I always go back and watch it. I'm like, okay, this is an aspect that I failed on the stage, or I didn't do as well as I would have liked to on the stage. That's something I need to train on in my next, my dry fire, my next training session, etc. Well, with the dry fire mastery challenge, like you can go back and look at, all right, I shot this match and my transition from shotgun to pistol was crap. So I need to work on that. Well, how do I work on that? What are the steps for this process? Let me go watch day 23 of the series and get a full breakdown on exactly how I need to work on that aspect and have that locked in before I go to my next match. So that was my goal with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You just need a dump barrel, people. Just go buy the trash can from Home Depot, Lowe's, or wherever, and you'll be golden, right?
Yep. That's a great place to start.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then if you're going to take it to a match, make sure you put like carpet in the bottom so you don't burn like your muzzle to the to the bottom of the to the trash can.
Done that before.
Yeah, the local club was like, yeah, we got to put carpet in these because everyone's coming out with blue off their muzzle devices. I'm like, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. Now, earlier you said something a little bit about the Winter Paradise Training Summit.
Yep.
I know it was a training event, but obviously there was more than that. You want to break that down a little bit for us?
So the Winter Paradise Summit is something that I came up with Donovan Moore, Point One Tactics, a couple of years ago. And then in 2020, we did our first one. So we did 2020, 2021 was awesome. It was even better. And basically we both been to different training events that were like large scale, lots of people at range days and whatnot, where that wasn't, it's like a taste, like here's a sample of training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we're like, well, let's do something in Florida during the winter when other people can't really train and make it to where it's like super value for the students. And so what we did was we created this event where we have 30 people. It's capped at 30 at this point. Maybe down the road, we'll open it up and add another day and another instructor. But the goal is to create a extremely in-depth, intimate, and personalized training session where you get to get multiple aspects of training. So we have Donovan Moore. He's going to be working on like your advanced concealed carry techniques. So really pushing the performance of concealed carry, of pistol in general, but all with the focus of concealment. I work on kind of the competitive aspect where we're working rifle and pistol, kind of a two-gun, because most people have a rifle and pistol, or we can get you one, and pushing movement and movement techniques and how to get faster and all these different aspects. And then last year we had Nick Young with VLOX Training Group. He came out and did a long range course where focusing on positional work and understanding your optic and the ballistics of longer range shooting out to 500 plus yards. And because it's a 30-person event, we keep it 10-person classes and you just rotate instructors every day. So you get to taste each aspect of the training in a intimate format with food and good times, lots of giveaways. We have some awesome sponsors that came on board. Vortex sent a whole bunch of optics. Ballistic Advantage sent freaking barrels and uppers, and Cobalt Kinetics sent rifles. Like super awesome event with tons of stuff to walk away from or walk away with. And then just absolutely solid training days. Like that is the focus of this event. It's not a range day for sponsors. It's not a content creation event. It is a training event that is designed to get you better as a shooter on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's cool to see, you and Donovan and Nick, you're all very much performance based. on-demand shooting capabilities. You know, none of you are slouches. Donovan freaking running with that M&P from concealment is
He's a beast.
he's scary. I mean, I don't know. He might not have Jerry's finger like implanted onto his band or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Donovan's a beast. Freaking Nick is a beast. And that's why like I pulled those guys in for this, because truly like I want people who are performance focused, not like it's not conceptual. None of it's conceptual, none of it's theoretical. It is all, what does the timer say? What does the target say? If you got hits on target and you did it faster, that's good. If you sucked on the time and you got hits on target, speed up. If you were really fast, but you didn't get your hits on target, suck less. Like that's what it comes down to. And for me, like, I don't care how a technique feels. If it doesn't perform well, then you need to scrap it. You've got to change what you're doing to make sure that it's effective.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. 100% agree. I mean, yeah, there's a way of, your way. I don't know. Jedi puts it pretty well. There's not a way. There is not. It is not the way. It is a way. I know I botched his quote horribly because I'm tongue tied today, but yeah, I mean, sometimes different ways work.
Scott's one of the people that I actually want to train with. He's on my list of people that I want to work with. I want to train with him because he seems like a super awesome dude. I haven't had the opportunity to meet him. All my friends know him. All my friends have shot with him and trained with him. Like, he's one of those people that is on my list of people that I want to shoot with and get coaching from, instruction from, and see how, like, in instructors, I have no problem saying that I shamelessly steal everything I can from other instructors. And if there's an instructor that says they don't, then they're absolutely wrong. I always try to give credit where credit's due. Like I pull drills from different classes, and different training techniques, and I always give credit back where it's comes from. But I like to go train with other good instructors and see what they're teaching, how they're teaching, and then pull that into my own, folder of techniques and how I can do better. Cause I want to improve on being an instructor too.
Absolutely. And I think everyone does. And it's great that you give credit, and the people who don't give credit, shame on you, because you shouldn't be instructing, because you're just stealing from everybody else without giving credit, which is bullshit. But, where was I going with that one? But anyway, something about, it was training. That's right. No, Jedi's a cool dude. He's also on my list. But I mean, I don't know who. Oh, that's where it went. I don't know who's on the road more, you or Jedi. I mean, he's crazy. He's teaching 1 million classes a year. It's like, I don't know when he's not teaching on a range. It's just kind of like you hardly are off the range. Last year, how many days do you actually think you weren't at the range, period?
I will tell you, last year was actually significantly less. 2021 took a hard hit for a couple of reasons. One, I actually took some time to do some experiences and travel a little bit, and spend some quality time with some quality people rather than just shooting. And then in July with my sister, that absolutely changed my shooting layout. Like I literally went from July 6th through 20th without going to the range. And then even after that, I went and trained up in Washington State, trained some federal law enforcement. And then I came back and I skipped until middle of August. So there were huge chunks of time where I wasn't on the range at all. 2020, however, I was on the range on average 5 to 6 days a week. And that was a lot. Right now I'm in a position where I'm not on the range as much, but I'm on the road a ton lately, with a lot of other commitments and trying to make some new big things happen. So it's not a bad thing. I love being on the road. I don't mind the airports that much. I get a lot of work done in the airports, and hotels can be pluses or minuses. This one's not bad, but it's still a hotel. So it's usually the first 2 nights I sleep like crap and then find some sort of a swing of things, but it is what it is. It's the life I chose, and I don't mind it. I enjoy it.
Right. I mean, in the end, it's if it's able to make you, have a good life, and, you're able to pay all your bills and, take care of yourself. I mean, it's somewhat worth it, right? You enjoy Absolutely. It. Yet it provides, and that's the great thing. But it's typically, you might be there for a week. The first 2 nights you sleep like shit. The third night's okay. but the last night you're there, you have perfect sleep, and then you're like, oh, back on the road again.
Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, without divulging any information you don't care to share, what's kind of your mixes of classes? More mil LE, open enrollment, or private courses?
Man, that's shifted a lot over the years too. So the last couple of years, I've really focused on open enrollment, focusing primarily on performance and competitive techniques. I did a lot of fundamental stuff too, primarily in Florida at my range. But all my travel classes were open enrollment and competitive based for the most part. This year, I've taken on a couple other responsibilities. So I took over as the director of training for WOFT, which is a scenario facility in Florida, scenario training facility, but it's a wide range of activities. So I'm running all of their pistol training and created a new curriculum for them for that. And that just ties into the low light scenario based anti-carjacking, medical training, hand-to-hand combat training that they do on that facility. It's really cool. If you guys get a chance to come down to WOFT, WOFT, it's West Orlando Firearms Training out of Groveland, Florida. Highly recommend it. It's a phenomenal facility and they're doing some really cool things there. And that ties in with some projects that I'm doing with Atlas Gunworks, because Atlas is also a sponsor of WOFT. And so we're creating content around that and going to be doing some series with them. And then I've got some other larger military contracts that I'm going to be pursuing more regularly now. So that's got me tied up and has reduced the amount of time that I have for my typical open enrollment or private classes. Mm-hmm. It's just a shift of focus a little bit for me. I'm still planning on doing more 3-gun classes. 3-gun itself has died off too over the past couple of years, just with ammo prices as crazy as they are. Shotgun ammo is hard to find. Rifle and pistol ammo has even gone skyrocketing the last couple of years with COVID and election season and all the other craziness that's been going on. So there's been some challenges there just in filling 3-gun classes, but like I'm a firm believer in the correct doors will open at the correct times as long as you're out there putting in the work and knocking on them. So I'm focusing on some other aspects, military law enforcement training for sure this year. And then WOFT as well, which is it's open enrollment-ish. If you have questions on any of that, hit me up for sure. But still planning on doing some more classes. However, I don't have any currently on the calendar except for Winter Paradise Summit. So getting away this year from the direct hands-on classes that I've been doing, open enrollment and private classes. I'm doing some private classes when I have time, but it's very limited. And focusing more on the macro scale with military law enforcement, the WOFT events, and then also creating new programs and summits. So it's a total shift of pace for me this year, completely like 180 from where I've been the last few years, but it's fun.
Oh yeah. And I can see it. And I mean, you've got that drive, that passion, just keep on chugging, like you said, as soon as, you're at the right place, right time, that door is going to open for you. So, and if you're not out there hustling, you're not there at that door to,
absolutely,
to reap the benefits.
Man. It's funny. I mean, I look at things as far as like people talk about you get lucky. But man, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Mm-hmm. So if you're out there pushing forward, doing the right things every day, freaking making it happen, opportunities present themselves. And I'm always amazed every time that like something pops up. It's like, oh, well, that's not what I was looking for, but it's perfect for the moment. So just get out there and make it happen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, if we dabble back just a little bit to WOFT, there's like what? It's a week program typically, right? Or a couple days?
2 and 3 day events. The 3 days are pretty awesome, and they're broken down into half day chunks. Mm-hmm. It's not inexpensive, but the value is there, and it's not something that you're going to be able to experience anywhere else in the country that I've ever seen. There's no other facility like it. Mm-hmm. And they bring in some high caliber people to do some high caliber things, and we get to do a lot of training that again, like I said, you can't get anywhere else in the country. And the people that are there are good networking people too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I think I remember, I don't know, WOFT opened maybe a year ago now, or has it been a little longer?
So they've actually been around for like 10 or 11 years now.
Okay.
But it wasn't until last year that they actually became a public place. It was super, super close knit, invite only. Like it was Fight Club rules. Like you had to know somebody who would invite you there in the first place, to even know what WOFT was. Now, our goal currently is to create more of a mainstream facility that is able to offer a lot more dynamic training for a wider range audience, without losing the intimacy of what they had before.
Gotcha. Makes sense. And because I remember, I think, oh wow, now our name's blanking, but I know our Instagram name, Stilettos and Shotguns, was there maybe about a year ago. And
yeah. Yep.
Carrie, right? I think it's Carrie. I think so. I don't know. I'll find out on Instagram later.
I'm bad too with that, man. I know people off their Instagram name, and it's like, I know you, but what's your real name? Like,
it's exactly
like 100 times, like, but what do you really go by?
Right. It's like you see the face and the Instagram handle. It's like, I know you. But I mean, that's kind of why some people put their Instagram handle on their shooting jerseys too. It makes it a little easier.
Yes. Yep.
And then that's how you get some follows too, because it gets put up on some video and it goes viral, and you're like, oh, it's follow. But I know you said, well, 3-gun has gone down. It's if you've been in the multi-gun scene, you know that 3-gun has gone down since 3-gun Nation disappeared. Now, as your opinion, I'd call you a professional 3-gunner. What's one thing we can try to do to revitalize 3-gun?
So I think that the 2-gun scene has actually really picked up a good bit, and I think that is a great way to kind of give us some new blood, because there's a lot of people who get turned off by the shotgun. I freaking love the shotgun, and most people who don't want to shoot shotgun but they still try 3-gun, they end up loving the shotgun too. But that being said, the shotgun is a barrier to entry. So I think that what Max Lee Grandis is doing out at the Cobalt Kinetics range in Utah is really awesome, and I think that's going to spread. I think you're seeing a rise of 2-gun matches across the country, and that's a really good thing, because more and more people are able to get into it. And when they experience the 2-gun aspect, they see the value of the training, the experience in general, how fun it is and whatnot. And then you're going to see more people come into 3-gun from that.
Yeah. And I mean, it's nice. Max is doing a fantastic job with his PC, practical competition shooting league, I think, or it's
PCSL, I think is what it is, or PCSL is what it is.
And it's phenomenal. I think I was listening to another podcast. Yes, I do listen to other podcasts, surprisingly, even though I make my own. They were talking about the rules, and it's like, it's not like there's no stupid safety rules. They're still safe, but there's no stupid safety rules that could get you sent home for taking your holster with a gun in it, taking your holstered gun off with your ELS, So
actually, did you see that USPSA Multigun changed the rules last month at the end of January? They changed the rules for their multi-gun set, and you can now take off your holster and or your belt in a staging area, where you would normally be able to move your shotguns around and whatnot, and you don't get DQ'd for it. So they're making moves in the right direction. But I agree with you, like getting rid of, like, you can't get rid of safety. Safety is super important, and that's why, like, you can have hundreds of people at a match and nobody gets hurt over a weekend.
Other than falling down, that's on them though.
Right. I've been that guy a couple of times, but I mean, in general, obviously the safety rules are important, but make them smart, like make them common sense. So I think overall what Max is doing is a good thing. It's going to get more people in the sport. Lucas Bakken actually supported the first 2-gun match last year. I think that was in April. And that was really cool because a lot of your tactical Timmy guys came out and shot that match and experienced the competitive aspect. Whereas before they were like, oh, competition will get you killed in the streets and I only shoot tactical. And then they're like, oh, this is actually really good training because it forces you to perform under pressure and you can run your own kit. Like, I don't care what you run. You don't have to be a competition rig. Like I love bringing cops out in their standard rigs, or military guys out in their standard rigs, and run what you bring. Like, you're not going to be competitive against anybody but yourself, regardless of what you bring. So just get out and shoot it.
Exactly. Now, can you see PCSL if, with Max's matches continuing, because he's got a whole list of matches this year? Do you think that's is the stepping stones we need to blend the tactical Timmies with the competition guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that is a great way to blend the two worlds. And by bringing them together, you're going to see significant growth on both sides. So I do believe that the PCSL has or PSC, whatever the hell it is, come up with a better acronym. 3 letters for an acronym, not 4. Like that should be a thing. But I do think that it's going to make a good impact if we can continue to grow these sports. And he's got some great matches coming up. I wish I could make the one in March. I can't. I'll be at WOFT teaching down there. But the one in April, I believe, I will be at their inaugural 3-gun match. So that'll be a good time.
And that'll be a fantastic. Max puts out a good match. From what I've seen, he's only going to go up. Like, the prize table from that first match in April, you said,
that was a great prize table.
There was all the prizes. Like, Voodoo came out. Well,
not only did they have a good prize table, which the prize table was random draw, which really incentivizes the mid-pack shooter and the lower end shooters, but on the higher end shooters, because like for me, going to random draw prize table, it drives me freaking crazy, because like the last thing I want to do is go freaking win a match or come in second or third and then get the 50th draw and go up and pull off a freaking flashlight. Like prize table's not the match, but it does add something to it. And so what he did was, like, the top 3 get paid out, and getting paid cash money is a good thing. So that was nice. And then you get thrown into the draw. So I think I got drawn like 112th or something. Which it is like, that doesn't bother me because I won and I got paid out because I won on the other side. So,
and you still got a flashlight.
I still got a flashlight. Yeah. The flashlight is still in the package right now. But it's a good flashlight and it will get used, I promise.
Right.
But yeah, so like understanding that whole process is a good thing, and giving people an opportunity to win cool stuff is always great.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does suck when you like, I think I went to a level 2 match and we, it was random, random prize, whatever. It was like, I got this rifle rest. I'm like, this rifle bag. I'm like, I don't shoot rifles. Who wants this thing? And I'm like, nobody wanted to trade because everyone else had like Super Vel ammo in their bag. It's like, you sons of bitches.
But you're wearing a PCC shirt.
But that's because Bill Duda sent me this shirt after he wore it. So
does it still smell like him?
No, unfortunately. I had to wash it. The wife made me wash it before I could wear it.
What the hell? You got to put that in a freaking Ziploc bag and seal it up so you can just pop it open and sniff Bill a little bit.
I mean, that's not weird at all. No. No, it was, he wore it and then he put it in a bag and then I just like, I got to wear it. I think I got it before I brought Bill on the show, but it was.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I do have one of his hats over here too. They're a really comfy hat. Side note, everybody, you go get yourself a Go Fast Don't Suck hat with like the trucker hats. They're really comfortable. You get them in black. Random sidebar. But anyway, go buy a hat. They're like $20.
You know what's funny is I actually used that line today, training a bunch of military guys, and I'm like, threw it out there. I'm like, somebody asked something, I'm like, all right, just go fast and don't suck at it. Like that's the way to go. Like if you want to do better, go fast, don't suck. And I think it's applicable to a lot of things.
It is. And then when you really are drunk or tired, and go fast, don't suck can mean a whole different thing. But that's beside the point. Now, how many I know you're super busy, but how many majors are you planning on getting to this year? Rough estimate.
Man, that's tough. I'm looking at probably a couple of years ago, I think I shot 16 majors. And this year I'm in a total of like 30 something matches. This year I'm going to be probably looking at 6 to 10 majors. unfortunately. Like I love to shoot matches, and very, very few local matches. It's just with the time constraints of travel and training and the other responsibilities and my kids. Like I'm trying to really be purposeful about the time that I have with my girls. They're growing up, and so I want to be very intentional about the time that I have with them. So when I'm on the road, obviously that's difficult. But I even getting ready for this podcast, like I'm like, hey, we got to push this back a little bit. I had some time to sit and FaceTime and read to my girls, and so that's what I did. And so when I'm home, I'm trying to be very, very intentional about that because that's a huge priority for me.
Mm-hmm.
But matches, they're going to happen. A lot of them are kind of up in the air right now as far as what I can 100% make. Obviously, I'm going to be at nationals. I'm going to be at Memorial 3 Gun. That's one that I support every year. I'll probably be at the Tar Heel Challenge, the Cobalt matches out there that Max is putting on, the PCSL matches. Those I'll try to make as many of those as I can. Got a great relationship with Cobalt Kinetics. They're really pushing into the sphere of extremely reliable work rifle that's competition ready as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to be on board with them and being able to put their rifle to work, not only in the military law enforcement aspect, but also in the competition aspect, and see how they translate side to side and be able to work with them on some of that stuff is really exciting. And they're putting out some freaking awesome stuff now.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be able to make the Pro-Am, or is that still like have no idea?
I hope so. I don't know on that one yet. That's still a plan. I got to go and defend my title. Yeah. That was a fun match last year.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, I'll give you my rough and dirty of the Pro-Am. It's, you got 2 brackets of amateurs and the professionals, and you're all shooting matches. And I'm assuming it's a helping match, right?
Yes.
So you can help people. It's really cool. I mean, I'm not a big 3-gunner, but I at least know that the Microtech Pro-Am, right?
Yep.
Microtech Pro-Am at Rock Castle.
No, it's not a Rock Castle. Rock Castle closed, unfortunately. It's now at Clinton House. It was a Clinton House this year.
So you've already been to the Clinton House, so that's nice. So you've got some familiarity with the range for nationals.
Oh yeah, I've been out there quite a few times. It's a great range, great location.
That's pretty cool. That is definitely cool. Oh yeah, there we go. Now I remember where we're headed with this. I do want to get to some listener questions before we need to get near the end, but that's no big deal. But
let's hit those here shortly then.
Yes, let's get to them. I've got them pulled up. Some of them we've already, through our organic conversation. I mean, guys, like Joe's been like the best guest. He's been segueing greatly, and we're bouncing on my things that I've already written down, so it's perfect. But one person wants to know, where are the donuts?
Oh man, the donuts are everywhere. Power rings is the correct term for them. I'm always looking for the power ring. So if you want to be a teacher's pet and come to a class, there's 2 things you can bring. Number 1 is a bottle of good bourbon, and that will be opened after the class, or power rings for the start of the class, because that is also a really solid choice.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Power rings are delicious. I will call them donuts, but it's usually because I don't have they're not ring shaped. I'm like very much a Long John fan or a fritter fan. So they're not rings. So we'll call them.
No, I like the freaking classic glaze. Like I can tell a lot about a donut shop based off their glazed donut, because it either sucks or it doesn't. It really rarely sucks, but like a good homemade classic glazed donut with there's just something about it. I can't describe it. It brings happiness to my heart.
Now, not to judge on donuts, but have you ever seen like the Krispy Kremes been made on like a conveyor belt?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I have childhood memories of watching those go by, and I'm like, I want one of those. Why can't I have that?
Hot and ready's, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They were always so fire. Let's see. We got another one. Oh, how did you get so cute?
My mom.
I don't know why. I don't know why my friend Jared sent this one. He sent it to you though, not to me. And I'm like,
Jared Clanton.
Yeah,
he's a good dude. I actually trained him up in at Ohio Range Day, and
he came away with the W, didn't he?
What's that?
He came away with the W on that, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, because we shot against each other. That's right, on the shoot off. He kicked my ass. I just got to suck less next time.
Wasn't it dark by the time you were all getting done anyway?
Oh, it was well past dark. Yeah. And I will tell you, that was one of the hardest experiences I've had training. Now, granted, it's Ohio Range Day is a cool event, definitely a unique event, and Rick Crawley does a good job with that. But it is a freaking grind. I think I was out on the range by like 6 or 6:30 every morning, and I was leaving the range between 10:30 and 11 every day, and it was like hardcore training hard, grinding it out. Like, it was a good time, but man, I was whooped.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I know. I remember some people had. I can't remember. It was a little after Ohio Range Day. Some people had some complaints of. I think everyone had a shot at the man card, and it was like making everything later.
Yep.
But I mean, everyone has their chance at the man card.
Yeah, I got mine at Winter Summit 2 years ago.
And they got it taken away.
No.
You got to keep your man card. There you go.
I kept my man card. I was one of one at the Winter Summit.
Right.
It's not a super easy thing to do. It's got its own challenges. You just got to be consistent though.
I think he keeps adding things now too, like that. Now there's the Han Solo you can go for now. I
don't even know.
I don't know. I mean, I keep watching people of him and the man card. I'm like, now there's there's a bunch of different ones now. I mean, Alicia's got a man card, but I mean, she's the first lady with a man card. So, hey, we did get a question of what are 3 pros and 3 cons that first come to mind when working in law enforcement?
Okay, so I spent 7 years in law enforcement. And if you add on like the time that I spent volunteering and like the explorers and stuff before that is a good bit more, but 3 pros. I mean, the number one is obviously like the opportunity to interact with a lot of people and help people. Like it's so freaking cliche. It kind of hurts to say, but that is like the focus, like helping other people, serving other people. The community aspect was really important to me, is important to me. And that's why, like, on the con side, where you see, especially these days, where there's a lot of bullshit out there between unlawful mandates, unconstitutional mandates, stuff going on in Canada right now. There's a lot of crap out there that it does not follow the Constitution or just generally good moral compass, right? And so as law enforcement, there are times you're going to get pressured into doing things that you don't necessarily believe in. And I believe that as a strong person, you should be able to stand up and say no to that. And it is a difficult thing to say no to. And I don't say that lightly, but I've posted on this recently, but being sworn to protect and uphold the Constitution and serve the people, there's a lot of crap that's going on that people are being told and not asked, but told to do, that it does not fall into that category. And there is a moment that each officer has to decide, am I going to pursue this and do this for the sake of keeping my job or not rocking the boat? Or am I going to stand up for what's right? And I believe that that's a really important question that you need to ask yourself before you get into law enforcement. Now, other pros, free coffee, discounts at restaurants. Now, a lot of that's phased out too. But that was a bonus. So cons, and also just life experience. I think pros, life experience in the law enforcement was really good. Cons for me were the pay sucked, huge stress. Like even though I absolutely loved my time at the department, I got to do everything I wanted to do. I got to do all the cool stuff that like I aspired to be, like narcotics and street crimes and SWAT and like sniper stuff and task force, all the cool stuff that I wanted to do, I got to achieve in my short time there. But there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of physical and mental stress with it that comes with the job. It's just part of the job. You have to know that going into it. And it is not easy on a family. So that's definitely part of it. And then, right now, law enforcement's in a position where you don't have many friends. Like both sides of the aisle, wherever you are politically, there's not many people that are fans of law enforcement. And even areas that were traditionally pro law enforcement have kind of changed their tune. And so it is definitely a difficult career choice right now. And I feel for a lot of my friends that are still in it, and a lot of people want to get out of it and they just don't have an exit strategy, or they're not willing to make that jump yet. And if you guys have questions on that, feel free to hit me up. I actually was talking to a guy earlier just about that exact topic, and it's a little scary, but it's do what you got to do, man. And we do need good cops. So I think that supporting the ones that are out there doing the right thing is super important.
I definitely agree. I mean, support the good ones. I know every time I see my local officers in town, I always wave or make sure to stop. Sometimes they're parked in front of my house because one of the corners around my house, everyone likes to do what we call a Michigan stop. You look, but you're not really stopping. You're rolling the corner. And so they like to make sure that everyone's keeping everybody safe because it's right by a park. So, I mean,
Yeah.
they got to do their job. But honestly, I haven't said this on the podcast, but before COVID, I was going to school. I was about to go into the police academy, and now I'm kind of rethinking things on what I really want to do. I mean, besides online learning sucks. I don't know anyone who really likes online learning, and trying to go through an academy online would be like, it's impossible. So
I can't imagine that that's even doable, honestly.
No, I mean, you'd probably be able to do maybe some lectures online, but so much needs to be done, like PT and, hands-on training. It's like, as soon as things normalize, we'll revisit it. But I don't know now at this point. I mean, climate could change next month, next year. You never know. Things could be good again. So putting those all in the back burner. But yeah, I definitely agree. Support the good ones. Call out the bad ones that need to be called out. We can't blindly say I back the blue anymore because there are some bad seeds in the bunch. That's for sure.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of that's come to the surface, which I think it's good that it comes to the surface. I think that the bad ones should be called out and removed from the position, especially with a lot of the crap that's going on right now. It's just, you're seeing the ugly side to the government as a whole. So it's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Now, I did get one more other question from our listeners, but I had this question too. How did you even get hooked up with Atlas in the first place?
So I got linked up with Atlas because in years past, I started out with shooting Springfield XDs.
Like everybody in 3-gun. That was like a 3-gun gun.
Just about, man. And then I got into the M&P, and I shot the M&P for like 6 or 7 years in competition. And then got a great deal on an old school STI back when they were like really freaking sweet guns. Not like dogging on STI currently. They don't even call themselves that anymore. But then I shot an Atlas. And after I shot the first Atlas, I shot a Hyperion at a class. A student brought it to a class. I'm like, holy shit, this is a different level. Like this absolutely is the next level from what I was shooting before. Like, and I kind of compare it as like driving a Corvette, which will take you fast. Like Corvettes are fast, and then hopping in a Ferrari for the first time. And you're like, oh, so this is what it's like to be really nice, So I jumped into the Ferrari, and after that, I'm like, yep, I got to get an Atlas. And I don't really remember how I got on board with them in the first place. And I really should like dig that back up, or how I had that conversation with them. But it was an organic relationship that just kind of came together, and I've been working with them for probably 4 years now, 4 or 5 years now. And man, I'll tell you what, there's nothing like shooting Atlas. And it's funny because I put those guns in everybody's hands and they're like, wow. And as soon as they start shooting, it's like this big grin comes on their face, and it's just another level. Even people who've shot other high-end guns. Again, like I'm not one to dog on other companies that make a quality product, but Atlas does make a phenomenal freaking product, and I love running them.
Mm-hmm. And then they get sad when they have to hand it back and be like, or you could spend
Oh,
$6
yeah.
grand.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you
I
could
actually had a guy who bought a similar gun in a lower price bracket. Again, I'm not going to dog on particular companies, but anyway, he just bought it. He was super excited about it. He came out to a class. He was running that gun the whole class. He was so thrilled with it. And then he literally, like, after the class, like, can I shoot your Erebus? I'm like, sure, here you go. He shoots it. He's like, I'm buying that gun. I'm like, no, that's mine. He's like, no, I'm buying that one today. I'm like, no. He's like, yes. And I ended up having to order another Atlas.
cash money, baby.
I mean, like, he was bound to throw me. He was like, that one's mine. I'm sorry. I'm like, all right, fine. So
Right.
all legally done, etc. You know, the legal asterisk over here.
Right.
But and I'm not doing that anywhere else. So don't try to buy my freaking guns out from under me.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's pretty cool, though. I mean, those are the best relationships, the organic ones that just kind of mold over time and whatnot. And now you're the 3-gun team captain.
We don't have team captains anymore. I don't think. I think we got rid of those. So
damn. All right. I'm just saying you're still the 3-gun team captain, because I'm assuming you were at one point when they had teams.
Yes, I was.
Mark Stevens, bring back the team captains, please. I know you're not going to listen to this, but I said it on the internet, so someone will get it back to you. Kenzie, I know you're listening. Get it back to Mark Stevens.
Oh man.
No, but we're near the end of the show. There's a couple more questions, but we talked about Atlas a little bit. But who are your other sponsors so we can plug them and give them some love and cheddar?
So Cobalt Kinetics, I partnered up with last year after meeting the owner and getting to run the rifles a little bit, and then just kind of finding the new direction that they are going with the company. Cobalt's kind of been known for, in the past, like super flashy space gun type rifles with some crazy, like, gimmicky parts that may or may not work. Now they've completely gotten rid of a lot of that old school mentality and are focusing on extremely reliable, high performance rifles. I've come on board and I'm helping them with the tuning process for the competition side, as well as the training and work aspects. So they're great to work with. Grizzly Ears is the company that I use for ear protection. I've been with them for many years now, and also a great company, good people supporting a lot of the shooting sports, and all the companies that I work with support the sport. That's like number one for me, and are just good people. Like I'm not going to partner with a company that's not providing good customer service, providing good product, and supporting the sport that I'm a part of. So Grizzly Ears, Vortex Optics, you know, they've been around for this sport in like hardcore for a long time. So still a huge proponent of their products. Priority One Holsters. So if you're looking for holsters, that's the holsters and mag pouches. That's who I use. We have the Joe Farrell signature series through them, and I helped design that to make an exceptional holster. I know Mark Stevens uses that. Quite a few other people in the circuit do. I do, obviously.
Be kind of weird if you had your name on it but yet didn't use it.
It would be a little weird, wouldn't it? So there's some good people out there running some great stuff. Obviously, Atlas Gun Works is a huge part of my life now too. And I almost feel like I'm missing somebody, and I'm going to be like really feeling bad if I am, but I think I've got everybody.
iPro.
Yeah. I do run Hunters HE Gold. I'm not like directly affiliated with them, but I think they're freaking awesome and they're good people, and definitely support them. They support a lot of matches, so love those guys.
I couldn't remember. I know you were one of the first people to have rubies on your eyes. That was for sure when they hit the market.
I tried them at Florida State or Florida Open last year, I think, when they first came on the market. And they were good for the bright sunny day that we had out there, But I still prefer the golds.
Yeah, like I was talking to John Vlieger about him a couple months ago, and he's like, the golds are gold standards. I mean, you can't go wrong with those. I
Yep.
mean, that's why I have like 4 pairs. I mean, I can't. I was like, you got you buy one set, and you're like, oh, those are cool, and then you're like, but I want to be a cool guy. I want to wear my Oakley frames.
Well, and now
Oakley.
they're making good frames too. They partnered up with Wiley X to actually come out with good frames for them. So
yeah, I know. And I'm like, dang it, I've
been telling Brian for years. I'm like, dude, you've got to get some better frames. Like these frames that you got are just
yeah.
So.
The coolest thing was the aviators for a while, but that was about it. But I mean, and then he comes out with the Wiley X frames, the Matrix, the other Oakley frame, the Oakley lookalike frames. I mean, he's got good frames now. But Joe, where can the people find you on the internet? I mean, that's the big important part.
So you can find me on the internet at fairwellfirearms.com. And then Instagram is my primary platform, and that's Joe_Fairwell. So you can hit me up on there. I'm on there way too much, but if you also want to do any business stuff, shoot me an email. You can find all that on the website. So, and then I'm all over the country.
Mm-hmm. And then right before we go, well, not right before we go, tell about your sister's thing again.
So Rebecca is teambecca.us or Avibex on Instagram, AVIBEX. And we're currently working on getting her transportation down to Colombia, South America, because we got a pretty awesome opportunity to get some phenomenal treatment down there that we're hoping will make a major impact on her recovery. And that takes up a lot of time and money. So we have a fundraiser account for her. We do have a GoFundMe that's still active, but I'm trying to push money towards other platforms because of GoFundMe's stance on certain activities. So I prefer to support good companies, and that includes financially. So, but anything you guys can do to help with her. I hate asking for help, but when I'm asking for her, it's a totally different aspect. I will unabashedly freaking push her cause and her promotion for recovery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do for your little sister, right? I mean, I do the same thing for mine. I mean, she's a little shit in the pain in the ass, but I mean, we still love them, right? I mean,
we do indeed, and family is super important.
It definitely is. Now, if we're gonna leave anything, we're gonna leave it at that one. I want to thank everyone for listening to the show. Joe, thank you again for coming on. It's been a blast. It's been a pleasure. It's been real. So
absolutely.
So guys, go check out Joe. Go check out his sister's stuff. Support if you can. I'm not gonna force you to do anything, but if your heart says to do it, go right ahead. But until next time, guys, thank you for watching. Get out and do the things, and I'll see you on the next one. And